Welcome to the final episode of DermTV Viewer Question Week for September 2012. Today's episode will feature questions from DermTV.com viewers. But just as a reminder, this month we're taking BeautyRx Live on the road to OpenSky tonight. So tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, tune in by either visiting BeautyRxLive.com or my OpenSky page, opensky.com/Dr. Schultz. I hope to see you later. Hello, I'm Dr. Neil Schultz, and welcome to DermTV. Today's first question comes from Carlos. Hi, Dr. Schultz. I read on the internet many times that not changing your pillowcase every day can contribute to acne breakouts. Is this true? Carlos, I don't think that's true, and I don't think you need to change your pillowcase every day. It would be most unusual for you to accumulate enough oil and grime on your pillowcase in one night to necessitate changing or washing it. Usually the small amount of debris that comes off from your face onto your pillowcase is really not going to be enough to make a difference. Certainly once a week or even twice a week you may want to do that. One exception would be if women fall asleep with their makeup on and they rub a lot of makeup on their pillowcase, then they may want to change their pillowcase for the next night. But otherwise, I think once or twice a week is more than sufficient. Our second question comes from Margaret. Are there particular ingredients we should be looking for to avoid in self-tanners? And vice versa. Are there ingredients we should be looking for that self-tanners should include? Thanks for your help and continued support in our skincare. Margaret, you're very welcome. This is an easy one. There aren't any particular ingredients to avoid specifically because there are only two ingredients that really work. And those are the two ingredients that are in most self-tanners today. One is dihydroxyacetone, also called DHA, which was the original ingredient in the self-tanners from 20 and 30 years ago. And the other is a newer ingredient called erythrulose. And most self-tanners today do have both of those ingredients. The DHA in products that are available over the counter can usually be anywhere from 1 to 5%. And when you go in for professional self-tan, professional spray-on tan, they may be using a stronger concentration between 5 and 15%. And the erythrulose is usually somewhere between 1 and 3% on products that will be available to you. But that's really the only game in town. Those are the two products. And when you put them together, the erythrulose makes the DHA work even better. So that's what you're looking for. But you're really not going to have to check ingredients on self-tanners, but you are going to have to check skin type. You want to make sure that it's appropriate for your oil and water skin type. So please check into that. Next question today comes from Judita. And she says, Dr. Schultz, what is your opinion on using homemade fruit acid peels made of fresh fruit? Is this a good idea? I'm a little afraid to apply it on my skin. Thank you. Well, if you want to have an acid peel or a glycolic acid peel or a fruit acid peel, it's not going to happen by just taking fruit and putting it in your food processor or your blender and putting it on your face. The sugars, the different types of sugars in different types of fruits, have to have a chemical reaction done to them, which is performed in a laboratory and can also be performed naturally, such as what happens with milk if it's left. But just putting pureed fruit on your skin is not going to give you fruit acids, so it's not going to be effective. There are plenty of sources of different types of alpha hydroxy acids, such as lactic acid and glycolic acid, which, as you know, I think is the gold standard in chemical exfoliants. But you can't do it by just throwing your fruit in the blender and turning your face into a puree. Not going to work. Next question today comes from William, who says, would leaving cleanser with 2% salicylic acid on my face for a few minutes after applying it be beneficial, or would it be better just to wash it off right away? William, a 2% cleanser, 2% sal acid cleanser left on your skin for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 2 minutes is just fine. It will have some effect. It may not have as much effect as you would like in terms of contact time as if you were using a 2% salicylic acid cream and you left it on overnight. But just putting it on your skin, washing it right off is not going to be sufficient contact time for that 2% salicylic acid to help you. So yes, if you're using a sal acid cleanser, you really should leave it on your skin for half a minute or a minute or two. Vanessa asks, are chemical hair removers like Nair better than shaving? Is Nair better in the sense that it won't cause ingrown hairs? That's a great question, Vanessa. And the bottom line is both of these procedures, shaving and Nair, both remove the hair just at the surface. It doesn't pull it out by the root. So they are both good ways of removing hair because neither of them encourages ingrown hairs. However, if you're shaving, and if this is sort of the shape of your hair, and when you shave, since if the hair comes out of your skin perpendicularly and you shave right across it, you then get a perpendicular surface, and that doesn't have a point, and that's not apt to create an ingrown. If your hair is growing on an angle and you shave across, then you're going to sort of get a bevel on the tip of the hair. And because the hair isn't oriented vertically but on an angle, that hair, if it gets long enough and starts to curl back to the skin, can then poke into the skin, and because it has a bevel on the tip, that has somewhat of a chance of creating an ingrown hair. When you're using a product like Nair, regardless of the angle from which the skin emerges, from which the hair emerges from your skin, the Nair doesn't give you a clean cut. It gives you like a frizzy, uneven edge on the hair. So it's much less apt than to create an ingrown hair, regardless of which direction it's growing in. But the only issue with chemical depilatories is that sometimes if you leave them on too long, they can cause irritation because the way that they work is by dissolving the keratin in the hair. Well, your skin is made of keratin. If you leave it on your skin too long, it's going to dissolve your skin and create an irritation. But certainly chemical depilatories are a great alternative to shaving and less apt to create ingrowns. Parisa says, well, Parisa has a few questions. Does asclera, which is that relatively newly approved chemical that's used for spider veins, sclerosant, does asclera get rid of rope-like veins as well? Is it only injected or can it be used topically? What are the side effects and how long do the results last? These are important questions if you're considering having your spider veins or rope veins removed by sclerotherapy, which is the injection of chemicals into the veins to cause enough damage to make the veins go away without having to have a surgical procedure. It can get rid of rope-like veins, but the concentration that's used is going to be a much higher concentration than is used for spider veins. So if for spider veins I'm using 0.2% or 0.4%, for rope veins I might be using 3% or 4%, and it is a slightly different procedure. In terms of it, can it be used topically? No, it's not going to work topically because the mechanism involves causing an irritation on the inner lining of the vein to cause it to collapse, and you won't be able to achieve that by using it topically. Side effects of asclera are mostly potential allergic reactions, which are very, very unusual, and when they happen, they're fairly mild, as opposed to more severe allergic reactions, which can occur with some of the traditional older sclerosants that have been around for 50 years. And how long do the results last? When any sclerosant, whether it's asclera or any other chemical that's injected into your veins, if it makes that vein disappear for a week or 2 weeks, that vein is dead, it's never coming back. But having destroyed those veins is not going to have any effect on the veins you would have gotten in 2 years or 3 years. So while the effects are permanent, they don't prevent you from getting the other spider veins or rope veins or varicose veins that you would have gotten had you not used it. So that's it for this month's Viewer Question Week. And don't forget, the subjects from so many DermTV episodes come from your questions, which are so great. So please keep sending them, and I'll keep answering as many of them as I can. Please join me again at dermtv.com. If you have a question, please send it to me by visiting dermtv.com/question. I'm Dr. Neil Schultz, and thank you for watching today.